Hello, my dears.
This is Annie, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that some of you might not like very much, but we need to have this conversation. At 67 years old, after decades working in fashion, I can say I've seen a lot come and go, and believe me, some things need to go and never come back. You know that pair of shoes you've kept for years thinking, one day they'll be in style again? Well dear, some pieces we need to leave in the past, especially if we want to maintain our elegance after 60. And don't give me that fashion has no age story, of course it does. We have to dress according to our age, but always with style and personality. Before I begin our list of shoes that need to be retired in 2025, I want to make it clear, I'm not here to judge anyone. If you love any of the models I'm about to mention and feel wonderful wearing them, then keep on using them. But if you're looking for an update to your look, pay very close attention to what I have to say. 1. Let's start with the first model that needs to leave our wardrobe, extremely high platform sandals. Yes, those that make us look like we have wooden legs. My dears, the days when we had to balance on uncomfortable shoes just to appear taller or more elegant are over. In 2025, the watchword is comfort with style. I remember when I bought my first platform sandal back in the 70s.
It was all the rage.
But today, at our age, we need to be practical. Falls can be very dangerous, and frankly, there's nothing less elegant than a lady trying to balance in unsuitable shoes. 2. The second model that needs rethinking is those ultra-flexible flats that look more like socks with a sole. I know they're comfortable, but they offer no support for our feet, which need more care now. Besides, they can make our feet look larger and wider, and none of us wants that, right? When I wear these flats, I feel as if I'm barefoot in the mall. And I must confess, I've had a few embarrassing moments when I stepped in puddles with them. The thin fabric soaks up everything, and off you go with drenched feet.
No, thank you.
There are much more elegant and suitable options for us. 3. The third model on our list is those sneakers with LED lights. My dears, I know that some famous brands have launched adult versions of this model, but let's agree. Leave that for the grandchildren. No matter how hard they try to convince us that it's trendy, some fashions simply are not for us. I remember when my 12-year-old granddaughter showed up with a pair of these.
They looked cute on her.
But when I saw a friend my age wearing a similar pair at a dinner, I must admit I felt embarrassed for her. Every time she took a step, the shoe blinked like a Christmas tree. That's not exactly the kind of attention we want, is it? Before I continue with our list, I want to make a special request. If you're enjoying this frank and sincere talk from a lady who isn't afraid to speak her mind, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that little red button. Yes, the very same one your granddaughters always mention. That way, you won't miss any of my sincere fashion and style advice for us, mature women full of personality. 4. Now let's move on to the fourth item on our list. The famous pointed toe shoes with a very narrow, sharp tip.
Oh dear.
I know many of you still keep a few pairs of these tucked away in your closet, but I have to be honest. Not only are they out of fashion in 2025, they're also true torture devices for our feet. My dears, after 60, our feet deserve more respect. I spent years squeezing my toes into those narrow points to appear more elegant, and you know what I ended up with?
Bunions.
That's right, those horrible protrusions that I later had to have operated on. It's simply not worth sacrificing our comfort for an outdated trend. 5. The fifth model that needs to be retired is those loafers with huge, golden buckles. You know, the ones that look as if they have a curtain decoration on the front?
Well, they need to go.
No matter how much they cost or which brand they are, this kind of exaggerated ornamentation ages any look. I remember when I bought a pair of these on sale. The salesperson said they were timeless.
Well, he was wrong.
Every time I wear them, my granddaughters make that grandma, for heaven's sake face.
And you know what? They're right.
In 2025, elegance is all about simplicity. 6. The sixth model on our list is those sandals with straps that are far too thin. You know what I'm talking about, the ones that seem to have been made with sewing thread. Besides offering no support, they have the magical ability to highlight all the varicose veins we try so hard to hide.
And don't tell me they're delicate. Delicacy does not mean fragility.
We mature women need shoes that convey our strength and elegance, not our insecurity in wearing something more substantial. Do you know what happened when I wore one of these sandals to a wedding? The strap snapped in the middle of the party. I had to spend the rest of the celebration sitting down, pretending that I was simply tired from all the dancing. In reality, I was mortified with my bare foot. Speaking of parties, that reminds me of a hilarious story about inappropriate shoes. But I'll save that for the next part. After all, we still have the 7th model to discuss, and believe me, I saved the most controversial one for last. And remember, I'm not here to dictate rules, but to share experiences. After decades of observing and living in the world of fashion, I've learned that style isn't about following trends blindly, but about making smart choices that suit our age and personality. 7. And here we are at the 7th and final model on our list. The famous chunky sneakers, those huge platform ones that look like they were stolen from a teenager's wardrobe. My dears, I know young influencers say they're modern, but I'll be honest, they look like poorly made orthopedics. The other day, a friend of mine, 65 years old, showed up wearing one of these sneakers at our afternoon coffee.
Poor thing, she could barely walk.
It looked like she was lugging around 2 shoeboxes on her feet. And the worst part, she paid a fortune just because it was from a famous brand. Frankly, I'd rather invest that money in a good pair of shoes that don't make me look like I'm trying to be 16 again. Now that we've listed the 7 models, let's talk about what really works for us, shall we? Because it's not enough to just criticize, right? As I always tell my friends, anyone can complain, but the hard part is offering solutions. First of all, we need to understand that comfort and elegance are not mutually exclusive. The days when we had to suffer to look beautiful are over. In fact, whoever invented that idea, that beauty has to hurt, deserved to wear tight shoes for the rest of their life. Did you know that I once had an enormous collection of uncomfortable shoes?
I was a real hoarder. My closet looked like a department store.
But after 60, I had an epiphany. Why keep something that only brings me discomfort? It was liberating to donate all those shoes that served only as decoration. And don't think I've become a lady who only wears boring shoes. On the contrary, I learned to choose models that combine comfort with style. For example, there are wonderful structured flats that offer adequate support without looking like orthopedics. Sandals with medium, chunky heels can be just as elegant as those with thin, dangerous stiletto heels. The secret is choosing pieces that make us feel safe and confident. After all, there's nothing less elegant than a woman who is uncomfortable, no matter how much she spent on the shoes or what brand they are. The other day, I was at an important event and saw a gorgeous lady, perfectly styled, but with an expression of pain on her face because of her shoes.
What a pity.
The entire carefully planned look was ruined because she couldn't even smile properly from the discomfort. And I'll confess something to you. Sometimes I miss my very high heels from back in the day.
But you know what I realized?
That longing is more for the young woman I used to be than for the shoes themselves. It's natural to want to cling to youth, but there's so much beauty in aging with elegance and wisdom. My dears, we need to stop competing with the young. Our beauty lies precisely in our maturity, in the confidence we have built over the years. We don't need to prove anything to anyone by wearing inappropriate shoes just because they're in fashion. Now let's talk about something many are afraid to admit: our shoe size changes with age.
That's right, dears.
That size 36 you've worn all your life might not be your current size anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. I remember the day I discovered I needed to go up a size in my shoes.
It was a shock.
I spent weeks refusing to accept it, trying to squeeze my feet into shoes that clearly no longer fit.
What foolishness.
Today I laugh about those situations, but how many of us still insist on wearing the same size just out of vanity? And speaking of vanity, let's discuss a delicate subject: the price of shoes. My dears, I've spent fortunes on extremely expensive shoes that ended up gathering dust in my closet. Today I know that a high price is not a synonym for quality or comfort. Sometimes, I find true gems in simpler stores, shoes that seem to have been made just for my feet. The other day, a very elegant friend of mine asked where I had bought my sandals. When I said they were from a more affordable brand, she was shocked. But Annie, you always wear famous brands.
Well, since when do we have to be slaves to brands? What matters is how the shoe makes us feel. You know what really irritates me?
Those young salesgirls who, as soon as they see us enter the store, immediately direct us to the more conservative section, as if after 60 we should only wear plain, boring shoes. The other day, I went to buy a pair of shoes and the salesgirl insisted on showing me only models suitable for a lady.
Suitable according to whom?
And I'll let you in on a secret. I have a pair of colorful sneakers that I wear for my walks. They're comfortable, cheerful, and make me feel great. They aren't those over-the-top models we criticized earlier, but they're also not those boring sneakers that look like a nurse's uniform. The point is not to completely avoid certain trends, but to adapt them to our reality. For example, if you like metallic shoes, opt for a more discreet model instead of those completely covered in glitter that look like a disco ball.
And colors? Ah, the colors.
Why do some people think that after 60 we can only wear neutral tones? I wear purple, red, blue, cheerful colors that match my personality. Of course, I don't go around looking like a rainbow, but I also don't limit my wardrobe to just black and beige. My dears, life is too short to wear boring or uncomfortable shoes. Our age gives us the right to choose exactly what we want to wear, without worrying about what others will think. This is one of the best parts of aging, the freedom to be who we really are. And here we are, at the final part of our chat about shoes. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you once again, if you're loving this woman-to-woman conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click that red button down there. That way, you won't miss any of our frank conversations about fashion and style for us, mature women full of personality. Now, let's talk about something many forget, the importance of taking care of our feet. My dears, it doesn't help to have the most beautiful shoes in the world if our feet are neglected. Invest in regular pedicures, moisturizing, and if necessary, visits to the podiatrist. Healthy feet are the foundation for any beautiful pair of shoes. And speaking of health, we can't ignore the special needs many of us develop with age. Some need orthopedic insoles, others require wider shoes due to problems such as arthritis. That doesn't mean we have to give up on style. There are great options for orthopedic shoes that are both elegant and modern. I remember when I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. I thought my life with beautiful shoes was over. But that's when I discovered a world of possibilities. I found brands specializing in comfortable shoes that don't look at all like those outdated models we associate with orthopedic shoes. A valuable tip I've learned over the years: invest in quality shoes. It might seem more expensive at first, but in the long run, you save money. Well-made shoes last longer, hurt less, and generally offer better support. Besides, with proper care, they can last for years. Speaking of lasting for years, don't be afraid to take your favorite shoes to a cobbler. Many times, a good professional can give new life to that pair you love. I've saved several beloved pairs this way, and sometimes they even end up better than they were originally. And let's talk about a controversial subject: high heels. Yes, I know many love them and don't want to give them up. I'm not saying to throw them all away, but be selective. Reserve them for special occasions and for short periods. And always have a pair of comfortable flats in your bag to change into later. A funny story. I went to a wedding not long ago and wore my favorite high heels. I wore them during the ceremony and at the beginning of the reception. But when the dancing really kicked off, I discreetly switched to a pair of foldable flats I had in my bag. The result? I danced all night, while I watched several friends sitting down, massaging their sore feet. To finish, I want to leave you with an important message. Don't let shoes, or any piece of clothing, define who you are.
Wear what makes you happy, what makes you feel comfortable and confident.
True elegance comes from within, from the way you carry yourself and treat others. Always remember, you are incredible women, with decades of experiences and stories to tell. Your shoes should reflect that, your wisdom, your unique style, your personality. Don't worry about following every trend. Create your own.
And that's it for today, my dears. I hope you enjoyed this talk about shoes.
Remember, the right shoe can change your day, but the wrong shoe can ruin your week. Choose wisely, prioritize comfort, but never compromise on style. After all, we mature women deserve the best of both worlds. Until next time, and don't forget, age is just a number, style is an attitude.